Good morning, and thank you for making it to episode 2 of Rooftops and Ground Tents. So the first vlog was just an overview of some of my thoughts and experience and research and discussions and that. But now I actually wanted to do another maybe 2 about tents. And today I actually just started doing a bit of research, which I'm going to read out to you in a few minutes. About rooftop tents, and I typed in rooftop tents into my Google browser, and that was quite a challenge because thanks to Google and Facebook and all these other weird and wonderful sites and geocaching, they pretty much narrow you down to your own country. So I've had to open up a private window and see what I can get out. So I've actually come across 1 or 2 sites, but I wanted to read out some of the top tents that have come up. So I actually typed in camping rooftop tent, and out of South Africa, there's a very big amount. I think between South Africa and Australia, we have probably the highest amount of developing camping products that you'll get. I know that the European market is quite strong and the US market has been picking up in the last few years, but ultimately it's the same or similar-ish to the designs that you see, just with a bit of a tweak and a version. So in South Africa, I'm just going to mention about 3 or 4 that have come up. Some are paid adverts, so I get to see them up front first, and then obviously some are out of the standard Google search. So the one that's come up as a paid advert is called Sputnik Systems. Interesting name, but it looks pretty standard. The sizing is pretty standard. Another one that has come up is Christie's Tents. I know that Christie's produce their own clamshell type, and well priced actually. There's Alucab, which everyone pretty much knows. They have some really, really good quality and consistent quality at that. Hannibal, same, really good, consistent quality. Have slightly different issues. They're quite different to the Alucab. And then other ones that have come up is Echo 4x4, some Traders. What else? Yeah, I think, Front Runner, another one. Sorry, Front Runner. They obviously do quite a basic rooftop tent. I wouldn't say basic actually, but putting up, taking down is no rocket science. I have looked in it. I think it may be a little bit flimsy-ish for my liking, but I haven't slept on one, so I can't really answer that. So let me close this window. I typed in European rooftop tents to see what would come up, and another South African rooftop tent, front runner again, Auto Home Official, out of Europe. Not so sure where they are. Gordy Gear rooftop tents, since originating in Europe for over 5 decades, it says. That's interesting enough. The iCamper has come up, Front Runner come up, but that's paid. I know that there's a few. I know that with the Land Rover clubs, there's some interesting stuff out of Europe, out of Germany actually, which is pretty cool. And I think a few out of the UK. I don't think the UK make them though. I'm not so sure. I don't want to speak out of turn over here, but quite frustrating. Google, why don't you just answer me what I'm asking you? Then choose your own. Anyway, so I typed in American rooftop tents in. There we go. Front Runner pops up again. It's a paid advert though. But what I did do, funny enough, is I found for the US, another one that comes up is called roosttents.com. Never heard of them. REI, obviously. REI do their own, probably their own version, but then trade a bunch of others. Outdoor, what's it called? Outdoor Sports Wire. I'm not so sure about them, but let me just read something that has come up. How do I close you? I'll wing it. Okay. So something I typed in that came out actually, funny enough, in popularmechanics.com is 8 terrific rooftop tents that make camping a breeze. Okay, so let me just read them. Now, I don't know if this is in order of 1 to 10, but this is what's come up. So, Front Runner Feather Light Rooftop Tent. It's got a standard flip over. It's a square tent. Standard flip over to be for length. Setup looks pretty easy, and then it's just got the ladder that slides down. The Tepui Baja series Kukinam mesh tent. Similar design. It's got a full over fly sheet. It looks more of a summerish type of tent though, because there's a lot of mesh all the way around, so for fresh air and keeping flies and mozzies and other nuchis out the way. Quite a fly sheet. It's got 2, 4, looks like 6 bending poles to keep open for fresh air. Yakima Skyrise rooftop tent, price is about $880. X-Works, same design. Then Smitty built Overlander tent, pretty much the same thing. It's got windows all around with flaps, mesh, drop down ladder. Looks like a 3-part drop down ladder actually. Square tent. Another one is the ARB Simpson tent. Same story actually. Square tent flips over. What I'm not seeing here are the clamshells, which is interesting because the Alucabs, Christie's, and a few of those are they are quite different. And all of these that I see are square tents that pop over, like the Hannibal one. Here's a new one. The James Baroud Evasion is one of those clamshells that lifts straight up on all corners, so it doesn't lift up on a hinge. There's another brand that's done locally, Bundu Top, I think it is, Bundu Top, I think it is. They do out of South Africa as well, and I think it comes with a remote, which is a bit worrying. Here pops up the iCamper, the X cover though, which is their new version that they've just launched. I know that much. As a rooftop tent, that's a square tent. And as usual, folds out. But what's quite interesting about this is that you can put stuff on top of it. So bikes, tire, all that type of thing. But as a square tent, I find it a bit, not clumsy, but like a big thumb, if that at all makes sense. What else is there? I think that's really about it. Listen, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other rooftop tents out there. The question is, what really suits you? And to me, if you look at convenience with a rooftop tent, you want to make sure that it is convenient, that it'll work on load bars coupled with a roof rack. Now, I know that the iCamper is one of the only in the world that allows you to have install it on load bars as well as onto a roof rack. So I have a roof rack on my Defender, but I seriously considered not taking that off because I think of wind noise, convenience, all that type of thing. And I was honestly looking at removing the roof rack and putting load bars on my Defender because that's all I really need. And what is possible actually is to bring the rooftop tent forward so that even slightly over the windshield, which has some other benefits. I've considered just using load bars and removing the roof rack. So I didn't end up doing it because when I do humanitarian trips or long trips, you want that space at the back where you can put your jerry cans and things like that. So I can get rid of everything, get load bars, and then put like a quarter of a roof rack at the back, which I can put stuff onto, which is pretty simple and convenient. I mean, there's no need for a whole roof rack just to hold a tent. So yeah, I have considered a bunch of things, and I think safety wise the rooftop tents are really good, but I look at a number of factors. So I look at safety, wind noise, convenience, simplicity of putting it on and taking it off. Most of these just get bolted on pretty simply. There really isn't much rocket science behind it. Most of it is 4 bolts or 6 bolts just to hold it down, because that's really all you need to do is hold it down. You need to remember when you're going underneath trees. You also need to remember when you're going into certain parking lots, when you're going to fill up and get product for the rest of your trip. So there are a number of factors. Sturdiness. What's it like in the wind and the weather? I mean, I put a brief like an Instagram thing up a while ago, in December actually. I put up something that was related to the weather. We sat in a big storm. We slept in a storm with really hectic wind and lightning and thunder around us. Now, in the Johannesburg region, it's called the Highveld, which is the higher areas, and they get the afternoon thunderstorms, and then it just disappears after 2 hours or so, and it's a lovely evening. But this one night, it really came down. And I was a little concerned. I had my daughter she was sleeping there next to me. But I had some faith in the money that I'd spent in the iCamper, and it paid off. It held its ground. I know that one of the clips that they put up has a massive fan blowing on the iCamper without it's got these like little round brackets, you could probably call them, that get attached into the struts on the inside, so it can't close on you. But they did a test with the wind without those, and it held pretty well. I think it was like 75 kilometer winds or something, which is pretty hectic. I mean, if anyone opens a tent in 75 wind storm, then you have to have your head checked. In most cases, for most of us, it's got to do with weather, meaning that you've got summer, you've got winter, you've got spring, and you've got autumn. And obviously with summer, it's heat and wind. And you want to be able to have fresh air as much as the next guy without having to close everything up. In winter, you've obviously got the cold. In North America and Europe, the cold is very different to what we have in Africa. So we have certain cold areas in South Africa, but most of Africa is not really there yet. Up north, the Moroccos across to the Egypts, the winters are super cold, but there's not like massive wind issues and rain. So it's not consistent. You may have it, but at least you know what you're dealing with. And it is pretty much just stay warm, buy the right sleeping bag and things like that. So I think if you're going to choose a rooftop tent, you need to look at convenience. The majority of the square ones, like I mentioned in my first vlog, cause issues with your fingers and take the skin off, or just generally irritate the skin on your fingers from being used. I know that some people take a silicone spray and spray it around on the zip, but now you're doing something else to compensate for something that you really shouldn't have to worry about. So if any of you manufacturers are actually listening to this, please listen to what the people are telling you. When it comes to the clamshell, those are nice and equally nice and sturdy. They have their own use. Some of them you can put product on top, like the Alucab. You can put on top of it. You can put stuff on top, but not too heavy. It does cause wear and tear on the struts. And it's nice. It's convenient. It's sturdy. You can put your solar panel on the top, which does help. I don't keep my solar panel on top for a few reasons. Number one is on the iCamper you can't. It's got it curved on the top, so that's not going to be realistic. Also, I like to have mine handy that I can put it anywhere I want. If I'm parked under trees for shade, for example, during the day, I want to be able to charge my Engel fridge and my deep cycle battery, and I can't do that from underneath a tree. So you want convenience that goes with it. I think if you're going to do all your homework, look at your environment, look at your camping style, understand what you're going for. I'm not going to put a bunch of the names down because there's just so many. It's just endless. If you type in your country, like what Google is only allowing me to see, and I'd love to have a chat to someone from Google why, but I don't think it'll make a difference. Do research in your country for your environment. If you're going to bring in a rooftop tent, make sure that you can have it serviced and maintained and repaired if need be. I mean, that's another thing. If you're going to spend the money on a tent, you don't want to spend more money on trying to maintain it. maintenance is a very, very big deal, and it's something that a lot of people don't really look into. If I haven't gone camping for 3-4 weeks, I open my rooftop tent, let it air, let it get a little bit of sun, make sure that there's no moisture inside. Guys have burnt their fingers by a little bit of moisture on the inside, closed it off, and then left it for weeks, and you get mold. And then mildew will eat away and weaken your tent. So it's a constant maintenance. You constantly have to keep on it, and I say constantly, like within a month. If you're a twice a weekend, 2 weekends a month camper, you're obviously a lot more adverse to going twice a quarter. So you will spend different money on it, and by spending different money, you're going to look at different functionality of the tent that you're going for. So the next vlog I'm going to do is going to be related to ground tents and the different options there. Let's hope Google allows me to do that research. But if you enjoyed this, make some comments below, share it with your mates, but subscribe. Please subscribe. It's awesome if you do. It just lets me know that I'm doing the stuff correctly. And if you have any questions, drop it down below. I'm quite happy to see what you guys need. I know I get a lot of people contacting me directly, which is awesome, but I need other followers to know what you are thinking. So if you can share and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And until next time, thank you. I will put links all around, and where to download the vlogs. That is obviously not links on the tents. That's a bit pointless, like I mentioned. So guys, I'm waffling on. Have a good day. I have a new surprise coming for Ollie, my defender, and support the channel and the content, please, guys. Look forward to hearing from you. Cheers. Bye.